Here's some basic information on how to log in with your EPL card. The first thing you need to do is go to self-service and download Libby by Overdrive. It's the only app that starts with an L. It's the little girl that looks like she's reading a book. So you got to install that first. Once Libby's done loading onto your iPad, then you can go ahead and open up the app. When you open the app, it's going to ask you a series of questions. The first question is, do you have a library card? And yes, you do. You have that Ecards e-card, so you're going to go ahead and hit yes. After you hit yes, you have three options. You're going to want to choose the middle option that you will search for a library. You could also use the Guess My Library, and it uses maps to find your location, but it doesn't always show up for Elkhart for some reason. So I recommend just typing in searching for a library with Elkhart. You'll notice as you type in Elkhart that it's going to pull it up, hopefully as the first option, and you're going to go ahead and want to tap that maroon box. Your next screen will look like the one that's on the left. You're going to type in your barcode card number. In general, all the barcodes have very similar numbers. They all start with 430, 800, and then you're either 2018 or 2019, and then the last four digits will be unique. So you're going to type in that whole barcode number and hit next. When you hit next, you'll see the screen on the right-hand side. All of our pins are default at 1, 2, 3, 4. You could change it if you really want to, but I've never changed mine in the last 5 years, so you can totally just leave it at 1, 2, 3, 4. After you enter 1, 2, 3, 4 as your pin, you're going to go ahead and hit sign in. All right, once you're logged in, Libby's going to show you your little e-card on the screen right here with your barcode. If you notice, you can have up to 5 things on loan, which is awesome, and you can also put up to 5 things on hold, and then they'll just email you as soon as those items are ready for you. So after you see this screen, you're just going to hit next. This is the general landing page that you'll see. Some of the books might change depending on what's been just added, but in general there's lots of different ways that you could navigate Libby and navigate the EPL website to find books. The first one I'm going to show you is by changing your preferences. This is especially helpful for our students because this is not filtered, right? So it's all the EPL e-resources. So it has adult fiction, children's fiction, young adult fiction, and nonfiction. It has it all. So I'm going to show you under preferences how you can make some changes to make it work best for you and whoever the user is for the card. The first way to filter what options are available for you is if you click on preferences. So when you click on preferences, it expands a little menu, and then you can apply those preferences for you. Under format, if you just want to look at ebooks or you just want to look at audiobooks instead of both or any format, you can do that. You could look under specific languages. I think there's only like 4 Spanish titles in there, just a heads up. For our students, you could also filter audience to just be for like juvenile, or for even like 6th grade, you might want to look under young adult. So that way it only will pull up those books for kiddos, not everything that's available for EPL. This is not a filtered service, so the kids do have access to lots of adult fiction and stuff too if they look in those places. So just a heads up on that. Under availability, if you want to change it from everything to look at what's just available right now, then that will filter out all the books that are currently checked out. So that way they can just see what they can actually check out and not have to put on hold. Okay, your other option on the other side of preferences on the right-hand side is under Explore. So when you click on Explore, then you're going to be able to filter out things in a little bit different format, which I'll show you on the next screen. So if you click on Explore, this is what it's going to look like. So I would encourage students to look through like the guide for kids. Some of our older kids could look through the guide for teens. So that would be a good option for our students. But for you guys in general, you could also look through like, hey, just what's new, what's popular. If you just want to see what's available, you could look at it that way too. And then down toward the bottom, you could also look under subjects. If you only want to read and look at what fantasy they have in right now, then you could look at it that way, or historical fiction, or just nonfiction, stuff like that. So I clicked on juvenile literature for kids under the guide, and I scrolled down, and then they have this cool section called Fractured Fairy Tales that I know a lot of you teach. Notice they have 2 copies of the book When the Sea Turned Silver. The one on the top is an ebook. The one below that has like the little earbuds underneath it in blue, that's an audio book. So that would be something for kids to listen to, not necessarily just read on the screen. So this is just an ebook. So when you click on a title, this is kind of what the screen looks like. So it gives you a little synopsis of what the book is about, and then you have 3 options. You can either borrow the book if you decide that you want to read it. You could read a sample to see if it'll open like the first chapter or so to see if that's something that you want to read, or you can tag it. So let's say that I decide this book is the one that I want. Then when you hit borrow, you're also going to tap on borrow, the maroon button down at the bottom. All ebooks and audiobooks are available for a 3-week or 21-day checkout, and then they automatically just return to the library. You also have the option to return it early if you finish early. If you have a Kindle device at home, you can choose to send it to that device, or you could just read it right on your iPad through Libby the app. So I circled Libby the app to show you what that looks like. So when you get the book loaded on your screen, you have 3 options at the top. You can search for something with a magnifying glass. Then there's a bookmarking option so that you can place bookmarks to keep your place or to mark a specific quote that you like and things like that. Or if you push the hamburger bun, then you can see the menu pulled up on the side there that has all the different options. They've got some different reading settings that you can play with or that your students can play with. And then notice at the bottom, you can also return it to the library by pushing that button, and then it just goes back to the menu that looked like it before for borrowing, and you just say return to the library early. Just to show you the difference, this is what it looks like when you open the audio book to see if that's something that you would want to download and listen to. All the audiobooks are going to have those little earbud symbols on them. So you can borrow, play a sample, or tag it to keep it in your library as well. Your other option for searching is just to be back on that main page where I showed you preferences and explore. But if you just keep scrolling down, that's a really long page. So you can just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And then toward the bottom, you'll see some subject lines that you can look at. So we're going to try to steer our kids to looking at juvenile fiction, juvenile literature, or you can also, for like the bigger kids in 5th and 6th grade, you could have them look through the young adult fiction or the young adult literature. And then everything else in there is more geared toward adult readers, so those would be good places for you guys as teachers to find books. If there is a book that you want that is checked out currently, you can place a hold. For our students, they would put in their school email address, which is their first initial, last name, ID number at elkhart.k12.in.us. So that's for the kiddos, but for you guys, you can put in whatever personal email or school email address that you want, and then it will just send you an email saying, hey, your book is ready for you to check out now. So then it'll let you download it from there.